polished marble floors of St. Michael's Hospital reflected Jack Miller's mop like a mirror. The same floors where doctors in pristine white coats pretended not to see him. At 42, Jack had mastered invisibility, both here and in his daughter Emma's life. Tonight, however, as he quietly cleaned the pediatric ward, he noticed 12-year-old Lily Collins, the hospital CEO's daughter, sitting alone outside her mother's office, eyes red from crying. When their gazes met, she didn't look through him like everyone else did. And when her knees suddenly buckled, Jack dropped his mop without hesitation. What would happen next would change everything. Keep watching. Jack Miller arrived at St. Michael's Hospital 15 minutes before his shift began, just as he had every weeknight for the past 4 years. The evening air carried the scent of late autumn, crisp leaves and wood smoke, but inside, it was all antiseptic and artificial light. He nodded to the security guard at the entrance, who barely looked up from his crossword puzzle. In the employee locker room, Jack changed into his gray uniform, methodically fastening each button, tucking in the shirt that hung a little loose on his frame. He'd lost weight since Rebecca died, and somehow never found it again. The night shift supervisor handed out assignments with the same bored efficiency as always. "Miller, you've got the administrative wing and pediatrics tonight." Jack nodded, accepting the cleaning cart with its familiar array of supplies. He didn't mind pediatrics. The children, unlike the adults, sometimes noticed him. They waved from their beds or asked about his mop. Their parents, consumed by worry, rarely registered his presence at all. As he pushed his cart through the corridors, Jack caught fragments of conversations, doctors discussing cases, nurses planning weekend getaways, administrative staff complaining about budgets. He moved silently among them, a ghost in gray cotton. At 8:30, Jack called home from the staff break room. Mrs. Patel, his 70-year-old neighbor who watched Emma after school, picked up on the third ring. "She's fine, Jack," Mrs. Patel said before he could ask. "Ate all her dinner, finished her homework. She's reading in bed now." "Can I talk to her?" Jack asked, glancing at the wall clock. He always called Emma before her 9 o'clock bedtime. Emma's small voice came through the line moments later. "Hi, Dad." "Hey, sweetie, everything good today?" "Yeah." A pause. "Miss Wilson liked my science project." "That's great," Jack smiled into the empty break room. "I knew she would." "When will you be home?" The question came every night, though Emma knew the answer. "Around 1:30, but I'll come kiss you goodnight even if you're asleep." "Okay." Another pause stretched between them. 3 years after Rebecca's death, these silences still ambushed them. Moments when the absence of her voice became a presence of its own. "Love you, Em." "Love you too, Dad." Jack slipped the phone back into his pocket and returned to his cart. The small photo tucked inside his wallet pressed against his hip, Rebecca holding newborn Emma, both of them aglow in hospital light. The same hospital, where Rebecca had later withered away, floor by floor, as her cancer progressed. Where he now cleaned the very rooms that had failed to save her. The administrative wing was quiet at this hour. Most offices were dark, their occupants gone home to their families. Only one office remained lit at the end of the hall. Dr. Catherine Collins, the CEO. Jack had never spoken to her, but he knew her by reputation. Brilliant, demanding, the woman who had turned St. Michael's from a struggling community hospital into a nationally recognized medical center. Also, according to break room gossip, a fiercely private single mother who worked long hours while juggling parenthood. As Jack approached with his mop, he noticed someone sitting on the bench outside Collins' office. A girl with light brown hair pulled back in a neat ponytail, wearing what looked like a private school uniform. She was staring at her phone, but her fingers weren't moving over the screen. She just sat, perfectly still, eyes fixed on the device. Jack recognized her from the framed photos in Collins' office. Lily Collins, 12 years old if he remembered correctly from the cleaning staff's gossip, about 4 years older than Emma. Jack began mopping at the far end of the corridor, working his way toward her. Most people stepped aside automatically when they saw him coming, without even looking up. But Lily remained motionless, seemingly unaware of his approach. "Excuse me," Jack said quietly when he reached the area around the bench. "Need to clean here." Lily startled, looking up at him with wide eyes that were red-rimmed and slightly swollen. She'd been crying. "Sorry," she mumbled, pulling her feet up onto the bench to make room for his mop. "No problem," Jack said, carefully working around the bench. He could feel her watching him as he moved methodically across the floor. When he glanced up, she quickly looked away, but not before he caught the expression on her face. Not the usual disinterest or disdain, but something like curiosity. The door to Colin's office remained closed, voices murmuring behind it. A meeting running late, probably. Jack finished mopping and was about to move on when he heard Lily's stomach growl audibly in the quiet hallway. She flushed, embarrassment crossing her face. "Cafeteria still open," Jack said. "For another hour." "I know," she replied, her voice flat. "Mom said she'd just be 5 more minutes. That was an hour ago." Jack nodded, recognizing the hollow promise. How many times had he told Emma the same, when work demanded more of him than he'd planned to give? "Well, good night," he said, and continued down the hall with his cart. Behind him, he heard her whisper, "Good night," so softly he almost missed it. 2 nights later, Jack saw Lily again. Same bench, same waiting posture, but this time with a book open on her lap. Jack nodded as he passed with his supplies, and she gave a small nod in return. He worked in silence, aware of her occasional glance in his direction. The following week, she was there again, this time with headphones on, eyes closed. When Jack approached with his mop, her eyes opened, and she wordlessly lifted her feet from the floor. As he cleaned, he noticed her hands trembling slightly, her face pale beneath the fluorescent lights. "You okay?" he asked before he could stop himself. She removed one earbud. "What? You look a little," he gestured vaguely, uncomfortable with his own concern. "I'm fine," she said, but her voice wavered. She pushed herself up from the bench suddenly, swaying a little as she stood. "I just need to—" Her knees buckled. Jack dropped his mop, lunging forward to catch her before she hit the floor. She was lighter than he expected, bird-like in his arms. Her eyes fluttered open, confusion clouding them. "I need to get you to a doctor," Jack said, heart pounding. "No," she protested weakly. "My mother is behind a closed door," Jack finished, already heading toward the emergency department, Lily cradled against his chest. "You need help. Now." The emergency room was busy, but a nurse recognized Lily immediately. The CEO's daughter collapsing warranted immediate attention. Dr. Williams, a kind-faced woman Jack recognized from the pediatric floor, took over, ushering them into an examination room. "Has this happened before?" Dr. Williams asked, checking Lily's pulse. "I don't know," Jack admitted. "I'm just the janitor. I found her outside her mother's office." Dr. Williams nodded, turning to Lily. "Sweetheart, have you eaten today?" Lily hesitated, then shook her head. "Any other symptoms? Dizziness? Chest pain?" "Sometimes it's hard to breathe," Lily whispered. "Like something heavy is sitting on my chest." Dr. Williams conducted a thorough examination while a nurse tried repeatedly to reach Catherine Collins. Meeting after meeting, her assistant reported, unavailable. "Anxiety attack," Dr. Williams concluded finally. "Combined with low blood sugar and exhaustion." She looked at Jack. "Are you staying with her?" 5 p.m. Jack looked at his watch. His shift ended in 20 minutes. Emma was waiting at home with Mrs. Patel, who needed to return to her own apartment. "I need to make a call." In the hallway, Jack phoned Mrs. Patel, explaining the situation. She agreed to stay with Emma until he could get home. "The child needs someone," Mrs. Patel said simply. "You go be that someone." When Jack returned to the examination room, Lily was sipping apple juice through a straw, looking small against the white hospital sheets. "My mom?" she asked when she saw him. "They're still trying to reach her," Jack said, settling into the chair beside her bed. "I can stay until she comes." Lily studied him for a long moment. "Why?" The question caught him off guard. "Why what? Why would you stay? You don't know me." Jack thought about Emma waiting at home, about Rebecca in her hospital bed, about all the hours he'd spent in this building feeling unseen. "Nobody should be alone in a hospital," he said finally. Lily held his gaze for a moment longer, then looked down at her juice. "My dad left when I was 6, she said quietly. "Mom throws herself into work so she doesn't have to think about it. Sometimes I think they both had the right idea." Jack didn't know what to say to that, so he did what he did with Emma when words failed. He simply stayed, a steady presence in the sterile room. Catherine Collins arrives 40 minutes later, breathless and disheveled. She paused in the doorway, taking in the scene. Her daughter in the hospital bed, the janitor sitting beside her. Jack had seen the CEO from a distance before, but never this close. She was striking, dark hair pulled back in a sleek knot, sharp blue eyes, high cheekbones. Even in her clearly worried state, she carried herself with unmistakable authority. "Lily," she said, coming to her side. "What happened? Are you all right?" "I'm fine, Mom," Lily said, her voice suddenly cool and composed. "Just got dizzy." Dr. Collins turned to Jack, confusion and something like suspicion crossing her face. "And you are?" "Jack Miller. I work maintenance. I was cleaning near your office when she collapsed. Carried me all the way here," Lily added, "while you were in your meeting." The accusation hung in the air between mother and daughter. Dr. Collins' face tightened, then relaxed into a practiced smile. "Thank you, Mr. Miller. I appreciate your help." She reached for her purse. "Please, let me—" "No need," Jack interrupted, standing. "Just doing my job. She should eat something real, though, not just juice." He nodded to Lily, who watched him with those two serious eyes. "Take care of yourself." As Jack walked away, he heard Dr. Collins ask, "Do you want me to take you home?" And Lily's soft reply, "What's the point? You'll just come back to work anyway." Jack returned to his cart, finished his shift, and headed home. Emma was asleep when he arrived, curled around her stuffed rabbit, her face peaceful in the dim glow of her nightlight. Jack brushed the hair from her forehead and kissed her temple gently. "Love you, Em," he whispered. Then he went to his own cold bed and lay awake, thinking about the girl with trembling hands and angry eyes, waiting in an empty hallway for someone to notice her. The following week, Jack found himself bringing an extra sandwich to work, just in case. When he saw Lily in her usual spot outside Dr. Collins' office, he approached casually. "Brought an extra," he said, offering the wrapped sandwich. "Cafeteria was giving them away." It was a lie, but a harmless one. Lily looked at the sandwich, then at Jack, suspicion giving way to hunger. "Thanks," she said, taking it slowly. "You didn't have to." Jack shrugged. "Can't clean properly if people are fainting on my floors." A ghost of a smile touched her lips. "Fair enough." He continued his work, giving her privacy to eat. When he passed again later, the sandwich was gone, and Lily was reading her book. She glanced up as he approached. "It was good," she said. "The sandwich." Jack nodded. "My daughter likes them too." "You have a daughter?" "Emma. She's 8. Lily seemed to consider this information carefully. "Where is she while you're working?" "With our neighbor, Mrs. Patel," Jack wrung out his mob. "She stays with Emma until I get home." "That's nice of her." "It is," Jack agreed. "People can surprise you sometimes." The next time Jack saw Lily, she was sitting cross-legged on the bench, her homework spread around her. She looked up when she heard his cart. "Do you know anything about the Civil War?" she asked without preamble. Jack considered. "Some." "What do you need to know?" "Why people keep fighting when they know they're going to lose." Jack leaned on his mop handle. "That's not really a Civil War question, is it?" Lily looked down at her textbook. "I guess not." Jack thought about Rebecca fighting her cancer long after the doctors had given up hope. About himself working in the same hospital that had failed to save her. "Sometimes," he said slowly, "it's not about winning. It's about not giving up on what matters to you." Lily nodded, as if he'd confirmed something she already knew. These brief exchanges became a quiet routine. Jack would clean, Lily would wait for her mother. Sometimes they spoke. Sometimes they existed in companionable silence. Jack brought extra food, nothing obvious, just casual offerings he could plausibly have left over. One evening, Mrs. Patel called. She had a doctor's appointment the following night. Could Jack bring Emma to work for an hour until her neighbor could pick her up? "It's against policy," Jack said. though he'd seen other staff bring their children in emergencies. Just for 1 hour, Mrs. Patel insisted. The child can sit quietly somewhere. She's a good girl. So the following night, Emma came to St. Michael's, clutching her sketchbook and a tin of colored pencils. Jack set her up in an empty waiting area near where he needed to clean. "Stay here," he instructed. "I'll be right down the hall." Emma nodded solemnly, already opening her sketchbook. Jack watched her for a moment, her dark hair falling across her face, her small fingers selecting a blue pencil with careful deliberation. She looked so much like Rebecca sometimes that it stole his breath. He'd just started mopping when he saw Lily arrive, taking her usual seat outside her mother's office. She noticed him and gave a small wave. Jack waved back, then hesitated. Before he could reconsider, he walked over to her. "My daughter's here tonight," he said. "Just for a bit, if you want to say hello." Curiosity sparked in Lily's eyes. "Where?" "Waiting area around the corner. She's drawing." Lily gathered her backpack. "I like drawing." Jack led her to where Emma sat, absorbed in her artwork. "Emma, this is Lily. Her mom works here too." Emma looked up, studying Lily with solemn eyes. "Hi." "Hi," Lily replied. "What are you drawing?" Emma turned her sketchbook. A house, a man, clearly Jack, a small girl, Emma, and an empty space beside them. "That's our house," Emma explained. "And that's me and my dad." "Who's supposed to be there?" Lily asked, pointing to the empty space. Emma's face clouded. "My mom, but she died." Jack felt the familiar ache in his chest, not as sharp as it once was, but present, always. "My dad left," Lily said, sitting beside Emma. "Not the same thing, but..." She shrugged. "Can I draw with you?" Emma nodded, sliding the tin of pencils between them. Jack watched as Lily took a blank page in Emma's sketchbook and began to draw. His chest tightened for a different reason now, seeing his daughter's dark head bent close to Lily's light one, the careful way they shared the colored pencils without speaking. He returned to his cleaning, keeping them in his peripheral vision. The girls were talking now, Emma's hands moving animatedly as she explained something about her drawing. Lily listened attentively, then said something that made Emma laugh, a sound Jack realized he hadn't heard often enough lately. When he finished his section, Jack returned to check on them. They had created a series of drawings together, fantastic creatures with wings and scales, living in elaborate treehouses. "Dad, look," Emma held up their artwork. "Lily can draw dragons better than anyone, and she knows all about architecture." "Architecture?" Jack raised an eyebrow at Lily. "My mom wanted me to be a doctor like her," Lily explained. "But I love designing buildings. I've been taking extra art classes since I was 7. "What do you want to be?" Jack asked. Lily looked surprised by the question. "I don't know. No one's asked me that before." Before Jack could respond, a crisp voice cut through the moment. "Lily, what are you doing?" Catherine Collins stood in the hallway, her expression a mixture of confusion and concern. Her gaze moved from Lily to Emma, then landed on Jack. In the fluorescent light, Jack noticed the tired lines around her eyes, the slight tension in her shoulders, signs of exhaustion carefully masked beneath her polished exterior. "Mr. Miller," she said, recognizing him from their brief encounter in the ER, "I wasn't aware that bringing children to work was permitted for maintenance staff." Jack straightened. "It's temporary. My childcare had an emergency." Dr. Collins' gaze softened when it returned to Emma, who had shrunk against Lily's side. "I see. Even so, my office would have been a more appropriate place for them than a public waiting area." "Your office was occupied, Mom," Lily said. "By you and your meeting, as usual." The tension between mother and daughter was palpable. Dr. Collins sighed, checking her watch. "We need to go, Lily. I have dinner with the board in 30 minutes and you have homework." "I already finished it," Lily said, with Emma. Jack placed a hand on Emma's shoulder. "We should go too, Em. Mrs. Garcia will be here soon." Emma gathered her supplies reluctantly. "Can Lily come over sometime to draw more dragons?" The innocent question hung in the air. Jack saw something flash across Dr. Collins' face. Surprise, then something harder to identify. "I'm sure Lily has plenty of activities with her own friends," Dr. Collins said smoothly. Not really, Lily muttered. Dr. Collins checked her watch again. We need to go. As they walked away, Lily looked back over her shoulder. Bye, Emma. Your dragons were really good. Emma waved. Bye, Lily. Jack watched them go, Dr. Collins' hand hovering near Lily's shoulder but not quite touching it. Later, after Emma had gone home with Mrs. Garcia, Jack found himself cleaning the hallway outside Dr. Collins' now empty office. On the bench where Lily usually sat, she had left her drawing, a careful sketch of 4 people, a tall woman in a suit, a girl with a ponytail, a smaller girl with dark hair, and a man in what looked like a janitor's uniform, all holding hands. Jack stared at it for a long moment before carefully folding the paper and slipping it into his pocket. The following week, Dr. Collins' office remained dark each night. Jack found himself looking for Lily, feeling an unexpected disappointment when she wasn't in her usual spot. It was ridiculous, he told himself. She wasn't his concern. He had his own child to worry about. Yet he couldn't stop thinking about the drawing, about the way Emma had laughed with Lily, about the sadness that seemed to live in both girls, different shapes of the same shadow. On Thursday night, as Jack was cleaning the pediatric floor, he heard a sound coming from the supply closet. A gasping, ragged breath. He opened the door cautiously to find Lily huddled on the floor between mop buckets and boxes of gloves, her knees drawn to her chest, her breathing fast and shallow. Lily? Jack knelt beside her. What happened? Are you sick? She shook her head, struggling to speak between gasps. Can't breathe. Another anxiety attack? Jack recognized the signs from what Dr. Williams had explained. It's okay, he said, keeping his voice steady. You're having a panic attack. It feels scary, but it will pass. Lily clutched at her chest. Hurts. I know. Jack sat beside her on the floor, careful not to touch her. Try to slow your breathing, like this. He demonstrated, exaggerating his inhale and exhale. With me, okay? In through your nose, out through your mouth. Gradually, Lily's breathing slowed. Color returned to her face. She leaned her head back against the wall, exhaustion evident in every line of her body. You want to tell me why you're hiding in a supply closet? Jack asked gently. Lily's eyes filled with tears. They're sending me away. Who is? My mom. I heard her on the phone. Westridge Academy. It's a boarding school in Vermont. Her voice broke. She doesn't want me around anymore. Jack's chest tightened. Did she say that? She doesn't have to, Lily whispered. Dad left because she was never home. Now she's getting rid of me too. The door to the supply closet suddenly opened wider. Catherine Collins stood framed in the doorway, her face a mask of concern. Lily? The nurse said someone saw you come in here. Her eyes widened when she saw Jack. What's going on? She was having a panic attack, Jack said, standing. She's better now. Catherine knelt beside her daughter. Lily, what happened? Lily looked at her mother, years of hurt in her eyes. I heard you talking about Westridge. You're sending me away. Understanding dawned on Catherine's face. You heard, Lily. No. I was discussing their summer arts program with the headmaster. He's an old colleague. I thought you might enjoy their architecture workshops. You never asked me, Lily said. You never asked me anything. Catherine faltered. She looked lost, a powerful woman suddenly adrift. I didn't think. That's the problem, Lily cut in. You don't think about me at all. The raw pain in her voice hung in the air. Catherine's carefully composed facade crumbled, revealing the exhausted, uncertain woman beneath. I'm trying, Lily, she said quietly. I don't know how to do this alone. Neither do I, Lily cried. But at least I'm here. Where are you, Mom? Where have you been since Dad left? Catherine had no answer. She looked at Jack, as if searching for help, but Jack remained silent. This wasn't his conversation to step into. After a long moment, Catherine spoke again. I don't know how to be what you need. The admission seemed to cost her deeply. Lily stared at her mother, anger giving way to something more complex. I don't need you to be perfect, she said. I just need you to be there. Jack thought of all the nights he'd come home to Emma already asleep, all the school events he'd missed because of his shifts, all the times he'd been physically present but mentally elsewhere, lost in grief and exhaustion. "It's not always about fixing things," Jack said quietly. Both Catherine and Lily looked at him, startled, as if they'd forgotten he was there. "Sometimes it's just about showing up, being there to witness their pain, their joy, all of it." Catherine studied Jack with new eyes. "How do you do it? Balance everything?" Jack almost laughed. "I don't. I fail at it every day. Ask my daughter." "But you're still trying," Lily said. "That's all any of us can do." Jack looked at Catherine. "We just keep showing up." A silence fell over the small space. Then Catherine reached out hesitantly and took Lily's hand. She didn't pull away. "I'd like to try again," Catherine said, "if you'll let me." Lily nodded, a tear slipping down her cheek. "Okay." Jack stood. "I should get back to work." "Mr. Miller," Catherine called as Jack reached the door. "Thank you." Jack nodded once, then returned to his cart, leaving mother and daughter to begin the delicate work of finding their way back to each other. 2 weeks later, Jack was surprised to receive a memo requesting his presence in the CEO's office. He arrived at the appointed time, uniform freshly laundered, uncertain what to expect. Catherine greeted him with a warm smile. "Mr. Miller, thank you for coming." "Is something wrong?" Jack asked. "On the contrary." Catherine gestured for Jack to sit. "I have a proposition for you. We're creating a new position, Facilities Coordinator. Hours would be 7 to 3, Monday through Friday. The pay is significantly better than your current position. I'd like to offer it to you." Jack stared at her. "Why?" "Because you're good at what you do," Catherine said, "and because those hours would allow you to be home with your daughter in the evenings." Jack considered the offer. Better pay, better hours, no more missing Emma's bedtime. It seemed too good to be true. "Is this because of what happened with Lily?" he asked directly. Catherine didn't flinch. "Partly. You helped my daughter when I couldn't, but it's also because I've been reviewing our staffing structure, and we need someone with your experience in this role." As she spoke, Jack noticed how different she looked from the polished CEO he was used to seeing stride through the halls. Here, in the quiet of her office, her guard was lowered. Her dark hair was falling loose from its usual perfect arrangement, and there was a softness in her eyes he hadn't seen before. Jack thought it over. "I'd like to accept." "Excellent." Catherine handed him a folder of paperwork. "One more thing. We're starting a new project, a healing garden on the South Lawn, for patients, families, staff. I thought perhaps your daughter might like to help with the planting. Lily has already volunteered." Jack couldn't help but smile. Emma would love that. The garden project began in early spring. Every Saturday, Jack brought Emma to the hospital grounds, where they met Lily and sometimes Catherine. They planted seedlings, built small pathways, created benches where patients could sit in the sunshine. Other staff members joined in, nurses, doctors, administrators, all working side by side in the soil. Jack watched as Emma and Lily worked together, their initial shyness giving way to comfortable friendship. Lily taught Emma about different plants. Emma showed Lily how to create fairy houses from twigs and leaves. Their laughter was a balm, a counterpoint to the hospital's sterile silence. Catherine changed too. She began leaving her office earlier, joining community events, learning, awkwardly at first, then with growing confidence, how to engage with her daughter, and, to Jack's surprise, with him as well. What began as professional conversations about the garden project gradually shifted to more personal exchanges. Books they'd both read, places they hoped to visit someday, the challenges of raising daughters alone. "How do you handle the school projects?" Catherine asked one Saturday as they installed a small fountain. "The ones they spring on you the night before?" Jack laughed. "Poorly, but I've learned to keep extra poster board in the closet." "Smart," Catherine nodded appreciatively. "Lily mentioned Emma's birthday is next month. Any special plans?" Jack hesitated. "Nothing elaborate. Cake at home, maybe pizza with a few friends." "Would she like it if Lily came?" "She'd love it," Jack said honestly. Catherine smiled. Then we'll be there. The garden flourished as spring turned to summer. So did the tentative connections between their families. Lily began spending occasional afternoons at Jack and Emma's small house. Jack taught her how to make Rebecca's spaghetti sauce. She taught Emma origami. Catherine invited them to dinner once, looking both terrified and determined as she admitted she'd ordered takeout because she couldn't cook. On Emma's birthday, they gathered in Jack's modest living room. Mrs. Patel brought samosas. Catherine arrived with a professional cake and a set of high-quality art supplies for Emma. Lily gave her a friendship bracelet she had made herself, matching the one on her own wrist. After cake and presents, the girls disappeared into Emma's room to try out the new art supplies. Jack and Catherine sat in the kitchen, nursing cups of coffee. "You have a nice home," Catherine said, looking around the small, well-worn space. "Is not much," Jack replied, "but it's ours." "It feels like a home," Catherine said quietly. "Mine never has." Jack considered the woman across from him. No longer just the hospital CEO, but Catherine, a mother trying to find her way. "It's not too late to change that." Catherine nodded slowly. "That's what I'm learning." She paused, studying her coffee cup. "Jack, I've been meaning to ask you something." "What's that?" "Would you—" She hesitated. "Would you like to have dinner sometime? Just us?" The question hung in the air between them. Jack felt an unexpected flutter in his chest, something he hadn't felt in years. Catherine's eyes met his, uncertainty clear in them, despite her usual confidence. Before he could answer, the girls burst in from the backyard, excited about a butterfly they'd spotted in the garden. The moment passed, the question lingering unanswered. Later, as the day's golden light slanted through the windows, Jack found Emma and Lily in the backyard, placing small rocks around the edge of the vegetable garden Jack had started that spring. Emma was explaining how the tomatoes would turn red in late summer, how they would taste sweeter than any store-bought ones. "Your mom taught you that?" Lily asked. Emma nodded. "She loved growing things. Dad says I have her green thumb." "What else do you remember about her?" Emma thought for a moment. "She sang all the time. Not good, but loud." She smiled. "And she always said that sad things and happy things can live right next to each other, like different flowers in the same garden." Lily considered this. "I like that." She arranged another stone carefully. "Do you think she'd mind that I'm here, in your garden?" "No," Emma said with certainty. "She'd be happy. She always wanted more flowers." Jack watched from the porch steps, his chest tight with an emotion he couldn't quite name. Not quite grief, not quite joy, but something in between. A kind of peaceful ache. Catherine joined him, following his gaze to the girls. "They're good for each other." Jack nodded. "They are." "Thank you," Catherine said, "for showing me what I was missing." "We're all missing something," Jack replied. "Maybe that's why we found each other." In the garden, Emma was teaching Lily a clapping game Rebecca had taught her. Their laughter rose in the evening air, bright and unrestrained. Jack watched his daughter's face. Animated, joyful, alive in a way he hadn't seen in too long. As Catherine's hand brushed against his on the porch railing, Jack felt something stir inside him, a possibility he hadn't allowed himself to consider. He glanced at her, catching her looking at him with an expression that mirrored his own uncertainty, his own cautious hope. The wound of Rebecca's absence would never fully heal, but as Jack stood in the fading light, watching these two broken families finding wholeness in each other's company, he realized that grief hadn't ended. It had simply made room for something new to grow alongside it. What exactly that would be, only time would tell. If this story touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more healing stories that remind us that sometimes our deepest wounds connect us to the people we need most. Share in the comments if you've ever found unexpected friendship during a difficult time.